Look, here it is. Nuke, Greenland.
It's...
Yeah. Come on, that's a good lead. You should follow that up.
Yeah, follow it up in Greenland.
Yeah, why not? Go. Crack the case. Listen to your wallet.
I would argue that this clip right here is the culmination of the movie. It's the clip that perfectly sums up the entire thing. Everything that Walter Mitty does is all summed up in this clip. Even if it may not seem like it at first, which I could understand that. When she tells him to follow your wallet, and if you're anything like me, seeing what was written in the wallet the very first time that Walter Mitty opened it up was kind of revolutionary. To see the world, things dangerous to come. To see behind walls, to draw closer, to find each other and to feel. That is the purpose of life. When I first read this on my very first viewing of the movie, me, as well as the rest of my family, couldn't help but take a picture of it. It's something that hit us deep. This completely underlines the entire movie. Even going forward to that clip when Cheryl tells him to follow it. It's such a pivotal, such an important part of the movie. Because I would argue that it is the thing that gets Walter to make these decisions. It was the thing that really got him out there. Before this, Walter Mitty had something interesting going on. Something interesting that was happening to him. The whole time before that, he was always stuck in these daydreams. That much is clear. But for me, something that I didn't realize until the second viewing is that because of it, he was almost paralyzed. He couldn't act. He was so incapable of acting. You always find that he has these grand daydreams. In these grand daydreams, it's all about him doing something, him actually deciding to act. But then he comes out of it and has nothing to show for it. He didn't act on anything. Which in some cases probably isn't the best idea. I don't know if insulting your boss is quite the wisest decision anyways, but that's kind of a different thing. He had not acted on anything that had happened. He didn't quite have the courage to do it. And I think that all changed when Cheryl told him to follow his wallet. And I think that all changed as building up to a certain point, he had been building up just enough courage to act on these things. Not just to act on it because someone told him to, necessarily, but because he himself decided to do it. That point was when he decided of himself to jump on the helicopter with that drunk pilot. This is the point. This is the thing that I would say is the biggest catalyst for the entire thing, the entire story. Anytime before that, and he can back out. He can back out as he so pleases. And I guess you could make the argument that on the helicopter, he could just stay. He could have decided not to jump out, but even then, to make the decision to jump on that helicopter in the first place, that was the point in which he had built up enough courage to act on that. You can see that at this point, he's already starting to embody the song Major Tom that is sung in the movie, even if it wasn't actually sang to him. He begins to really embody that, when it was said that it's all about courage and heading into the unknown. And the farther you go into the movie, the more he embodies that, the more he really heads into the unknown and walks with it. That's what I think is really interesting. That's something that I think hit me a little bit harder, and especially as I'm recording this, something that hit me a little bit harder is that the unknown in this movie, at the very beginning, it was treated as something almost like an opponent. At the beginning of the movie, the unknown was treated as something to avoid, something not to dare with, not to interact with, because what's really going to come of it? But then slowly through the movie, you see that Walter Mitty is learning differently. His preconceived notion that the unknown is something to avoid is crumbling. You can see throughout the movie that he's becoming more daring, more courageous, more willing to act on these things as they come. The word that I would use to perfectly describe this entire thing is risk. Risk is the big word of the movie. One of the big words, because there's so many, but at least the one that stuck out to me the most was risk. Look back onto the entire movie. Look at all the points when he risked something. In the very beginning, the tiniest risk might have been sending the wink to Cheryl. Later on, It's taking the risks to fly out to Greenland, then to jump on the helicopter, then to jump out of the helicopter into the boat, even though he missed really bad. Traveling with the boat, which, to be fair, that wasn't exactly his choice, but he traveled with the boat. Then there was cycling across Iceland. There was all of these points. Every single point, he was taking a risk. At this point, I want to introduce what I would call this life of his, this life that he's leading. This life I would call the Mittian life. You can probably assume why. This life that he is living, this life of excitement and getting out into the world, even if it was for a purpose that he wasn't particularly excited about, getting that last negative so that he didn't lose his job, it was still the beginning of the life that I would assume he continued to live. Throughout the entire beginning of the movie, Walter Mitty had something that was missing. He had this monotonous, boring job, and something was missing. This boring, monotonous job just wasn't fulfilling enough. It wasn't enough for him. It takes some time to see that fully come into existence, to really come into fruition in its fullest sense. Something was missing for him. And that thing that was missing beckoned him out. It beckoned him out of that corner of the world that he was stuck in. It beckoned him out into the world where you begin to see him act, where you begin to see him take risk after risk after risk. How many of us find ourselves stuck in that same corner? Stuck in the same corner, almost rotting away, unable to act because we are stuck. There was that something in the movie that beckoned him out. For him, at that moment, it might have been the photo. And I guess really the whole time it was the photo. He could have taken the loss. He could have accepted that he could not find the film. He could have accepted that he couldn't find the negative. He could have accepted that. But he took the risk. He went out. He risked a lot, getting to the point when he found where it was. And isn't it interesting that it was there the whole time? This might sound a little cheesy, but as so many of us are stuck in our own little corner as well, it can seem like something is missing. Something that is so crucial. And it's funny how often it is that thing is already there. That thing is already there. We might have this mindset of, oh, if I could just travel, if I had the money to travel, I would, and I would feel good. I would be okay. If I had the money to do this, or that, or if I had this body, or if I got this done, or got these grades, or whatever it is, then we would be okay. Then we would be happy. Well, that's not what it's really about. The very thing that is most important to this is where we are. It's not easy to recognize. I'm not going to lie and say that you can just pull it out of nowhere. But it's worth recognizing. That joy that you find is not on the other side of the world, it is where you are. It is you and your ability to recognize the joy in where you are. This movie is so important. It is so important. Everything that it talks about, everything that we learn from it, it all comes back to risk. And that's just for us. Among all the people that may watch it, among all the people that may get even the exact same message that you get from it, it will never be as personal as it is to you. And I'm willing to bet that when you watched the movie, that you had thoughts on how to best apply the things that you loved from the movie. You had your own thoughts. You were not influenced by another person of what that should be. You had your own thoughts on what the Midian life sounds like or looks like for you. It all came down to you. That's what that life is all about. The life that Walter Mitty lives in the movie, that we follow him with, it's not about the things that he did. Not necessarily. It's not about going out and experiencing the world. This life that he lives, this life that we can live, is all about us. The first half of the movie, he's actually trying to track down Sean O'Connell for his job. He needs to get that last negative so he doesn't lose his job. The second half of the movie, that's when it becomes personal. That first half is when he is trying to fight to keep his job, but then it reaches the point where he loses his job anyways. That's when he's lost it. And that means that in the second half, when he goes out to try and find Sean O'Connell, it is no longer about the job. It is no longer about fulfilling the request of his boss. It is all on him. I just realized my fan has been on the entire time. Gosh dang it. Hopefully it doesn't... okay, I'm going to turn off the fan, and hopefully it's not too hard to take out of the audio. Anyways. But that second half of the movie, that is when it's become personal. He's no longer trying to keep his job. It's not like he's doing this for any particular person besides himself. It's just for him. This life was all for him. This life is all for us. It doesn't have to be scaling mountains. It doesn't have to be biking across Iceland or treading in shark-infested waters. That's not what it's about. Not for most of us. Because the life is all about us. It's all about finding the true us, our true self, the self that thrives. This is what this is about. This is what this movie is about. This movie is an absolute masterclass in teaching us how to live this life that best fits us. That could be on the other side of the planet, scaling a mountain, like what he does. That could be in our own home, doing the things that we love, doing art, spending time with family. Sean O'Connell saw beauty in both the exotic and in the normal. With the exotic, you have examples like Iceland, taking photography of the volcano, taking photography of the snow leopard in Afghanistan. For the normal, he has the pictures of the piano, and as he called the quintessence of life, the picture of Walter Mitty himself. And I find it interesting that he captured that, because it seems like even if maybe Sean O'Connell did not realize it at the moment, Walter Mitty would come to fully embody what that meant. There's a lot of interesting things to look at in this movie, but I think this is the most important to walk away with. For us, we need to remember to follow in his footsteps and to take a risk. That risk is choosing to live the life where we bring out our best selves, where we are as best as we can be. The Midian life is for everyone. The only ones who get to live it, however, are the ones who decide to make their life better. Something that this movie taught me is that the remedy to wanting a better life is to make a better life. It's not going to come along. You have to make it. You have to make that better life. It's up to you. That might be a little daunting, but you've got this. I hope you hear this enough, but you've got this. You've got this.